Gleason is going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you, Mike.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You're doing an amazing job at that, Mike. Lisa, can you read the opening statement and conduct roll call?
This is to advise the general public and to instruct that it be reported in the minutes that in compliance with the Senator Byron Fair and Open Public Meetings Act, the Casino Reinvestment Development Authority sent its annual meeting schedule for August 2023 through July 2024, setting forth the time, date, and location of this meeting to the Secretary of State's office in Trenton, New Jersey, and the office of the clerk of Atlantic City. The notice was posted to the authority's website at njcrda.com and published in the Press of Atlantic City, the Courier Post, and the New York Star Ledger on August 22nd and 23rd, 2023. Members of the press will be permitted to take photographs at today's meeting, providing that it is done in a manner which is not distracting to the authority, nor interferes with the public's right to observe the meeting. Any member of the public who wishes to address the authority regarding items to be presented to the board today will be given the opportunity to do so. Comments regarding any issues that do not appear on today's agenda will be taken during the public comment portion of the meeting. I ask that members of the public who address the board approach the podium and state their name for the record each time they speak on an issue. It is also requested that comments be limited to 3 minutes per issue. Michael Beeson.
Here.
Chris Brown for the DCA Commissioner.
Here.
Daniel Cosner.
Here.
Christopher Blum for the State Attorney General.
Here.
Michael Hanley.
Here.
Michael Laughlin.
Here.
Alicia McGee. Brett Maddock.
Here.
William Mullen.
Here.
Alina O'Connor.
Here.
James Closes.
Here.
Mayor Marty Small Sr. William Sproul.
Here.
Robert Tye for the State Treasurer.
Here.
Joseph Tyrell.
Here.
Chairman Mumba.
Present. The first item on the agenda is the ratification of the minutes from the May 21st, 2024 board meeting. You've all had an opportunity to review the minutes prior to this meeting. Any questions, concerns, clarification? There being none, I will entertain a motion to adopt the minutes from the meeting.
So moved.
Do you have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes carried. All right, we're going to move on to proposed action items. The first tranche of action items are land use regulation and enforcement. The first item is Garden Organics LLC. Lisa, can you read the resolution?
Resolution of the Casino Reinvestment Development Authority granting minor site plan approval with variance pursuant to NJSA 40:55D70C to permit the operation of a Class 1 cannabis cultivation and Class 2 cannabis manufacturing facility on the subject property located at 3112 Atlantic Avenue, Block 151, Lot 3, in the city of Atlantic City under application 2024-03-3599.
Thank you, Lisa. Any recusals? Lance, you want to walk us through this?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon, board members and the public. This is a minor site plan for Garden Organics LLC, a little different than the ones we've seen before. This site actually already has a cannabis retail distribution on the first floor. This will be up on the third floor, be a small cultivation area and a manufacturing where they will take the product and make it actually into the final product, the grown product. As I said, approvals have already been received for the retail use on the first floor and actually a consumption lounge on the second floor of this site. The site will need a couple variances, or one variance for parking. They propose to retrofit the third floor of the existing structure to accommodate both the cannabis grow and manufacturing facility. No exterior renovations are required for this application. They do need a parking space for a total of 9 spaces that are required on site. They have a lease right around the corner with property there for a total of 10 off-site parking spaces. That's how they offset that requirement for the variance for parking. I will say that this will be a reduction overall in the number of parking spaces demand for the site. It was a call center, so it had several, I think the number was 150, 200 people there at any one time. So it's a lot less parking demand on the area. So this site didn't need as big of a variance as the previous use. The site's located at 3112 Atlantic Avenue, also formerly known as Block 51, Lot 3. It's in the central business district. It also is in the green zone redevelopment area that does permit the use. The site's approximately 700 feet from the Brighton Avenue School, approximately 1,000 feet from Stockton University's student housing site, Phase 2, and 860 feet from O'Donnell Park, and roughly 1,200 feet from Majid Al Taqwa. If I'm not pronouncing that correctly, I apologize. The applicant presented testimony of Ashley Walsh, who described the grow and manufacturing operations on the site. Internal, no sales will occur from that part of the facility. It's merely a grow and manufacturing place, location. The facility will operate from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m., 7 days a week, approximately 8 employees for that particular use. Owner of the building in the first floor cannabis testified as to the city designated loading zone. They do have a loading space right out front, so that's critical to the use, especially if they're manufacturing, they're going to have shipping coming in and out of the facility. They've installed upgrades along the side, installed inside and outside of the building to accommodate that loading. Commercial waste, there's always a concern with waste, cannabis-type waste coming out of a manufacturing and a grow facility. They talked about how, in their testimony, how that will be handled. It's handled by a designated carrier that takes cannabis waste. Their planner, Ms. Morrissey, testified that the site's fully developed, no opportunity to provide parking on the site. She went through the criteria that's required for that variance of the parking, essentially that they are providing, it's just around the corner, not specifically on that site. She talked about the purposes of zoning that are promoted by the granting of that proposed variance. Our planner and engineer reviewed the site and the testimony, and they agreed with her analysis of that variance request. So we had a public hearing on May 16th. No one spoke in favor or against the application. They do meet the requirements for that variance. Here is the location of the site. You can see it there in the center, along Atlantic Avenue. Existing development all around. The parking is, as I said, behind the site around the corner. There's the front of the building. It was an old Masonic lodge, I believe. That's the facade of it, and then the loading zone is right here in the front where that white van is. Any questions?
Is it currently operating as a?
It is. It's
Yeah.
open. Yep. There's 8 or 9 of them open in the city now.
Any additional questions for discussion? There public comment? There being no public comment, I will entertain a motion to adopt of the motion.
Motion.
Got it? Got a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes, carried. Staying with you, Lance. 619 property management. Lisa, can you read the resolution?
Resolution of the Casino Reinvestment Development Authority granting preliminary and final major site plan approval licenses pursuant to NJSA 40:55D 70C to permit the operation of a Class 5 cannabis dispensary on the subject property located at 1015 Pacific Avenue, Block 1, lots 142 and 142.01 in the city of Atlantic City under application 2024-03-3615.
Thank you, Lisa. Any recusals? Lance, want to walk us through this one as well?
Sure, we might want to open the curtains up because this site is right next door. We can see the site from the property. This is a typical Class 5 dispensary, the sale of adult use recreational cannabis, and a consumption lounge. The applicant proposes to demolish the existing church on the site, construct a 2-story structure with the Class 5 dispensary. Consumption lounge would include both indoor and outdoor consumption, which is permitted under the CRC rules. They do need a minor parking variance for the site. They're just under the number that's required, but they are providing on-site parking and for lot coverage. They're covering most of the property with asphalt or buildings, so they need a variance for that. They are seeking site plan approval. The site is located, as we said, at 1015 Pacific Avenue. Known as Block 1, lots 142 and 14201. Located in the Resort Commercial District and the Green Zone Redevelopment Plan, which does permit the use. Bridget Sykes, the attorney for the applicant, provided an overall proposed concept. They've also provided testimony from Hope Wiseman, who's the applicant's vice president. She described the operations. Dispensary will operate from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m., 7 days a week. Consumption lounge from 10 a.m. to 2 a.m., 7 days a week, and the facility will be staffed by approximately 20 employees in varying shifts. The applicant's engineer provided, Mr. Days provided site design comments and comments on the variance being requested. New buildings, roughly 4,900 square feet in area, and 2 stories, and they are at 88% lot coverage, where our regulations permit just 80% of lot coverage. They will provide 22 on-site parking spaces, where 33 are required. We actually had them knock that number down by 1 to relocate their loading zone. They had it in a spot that we thought conflicted with pedestrian traffic on the site, so we asked them to move it closer to the building, and it was a safer maneuver, and it reduced their parking on site by 1. Just better site design. The other change was, instead of sidewalk coming along Gordon's Alley, which is mostly a pedestrian walkway, they were going to put a hedgerow similar to what we have out back along the property to kind of match that buffer. Mr. Days talked about the variances and how they could comply with the purposes of zoning. Testified that granted variance would not create substantial detriment to the public good or substantially impair our master plan or zoning ordinance. Both our engineer and planner agreed with that testimony. Our engineer did have some suggestions, one of them being relocate that loading zone to a safer place. And they agreed to do that in their revised plans. They'll submit, should the board approve it today, they'll submit those revised plans to us. We had a public hearing on May 2nd. Again, no public spoke in favor or against the application, so it's our recommendation that the board grant the variance and the site plan approvals.
Thank you, Lane.
Mr. Beeson?
Are there any schools or churches nearby, or?
Just us.
That's what I thought.
You're nearby.
Yeah. Is the church, has it been sold, or this is a pending?
We understand that the original applicant, which was a different entity, bought the property. These would be new. The church sold it to an initial group.
Right.
They've now sold it to this 619 property.
The church isn't a historic preservation site, I assume, right?
Depending on your opinion, but it is not officially a historic site. Nucky Johnson was married there, though.
That's interesting. Okay, thanks.
Any
Some of the
questions?
photos of the site,
Wait.
we're very familiar with the location. It's right here next to us, so.
Lance, what number approval would this make it for us?
If the one that previously brought us to 28, this would be 29.
29 approvals.
Yeah.
And this will have indoor consumption, correct?
And outdoor.
And outdoor. How many other consumption lounges do we have approved?
There was one on the site just before that we just spoke about, and there's at least one other that I'm aware of.
I think that'll make 3.
The one
I think
Claridge.
I
it's
think we have 3. So
Yeah, I think 3.
one in Claridge, this will be the 3rd.
And then previous was indoor as well?
Yes, this is the only one that's going to be outdoor.
Okay.
Outdoor. And we're the neighbors, but we can't really testify. Are we conflicted to testify in our view of it as neighbors?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I mean, the board certainly could have concerns, but it's,
Well,
You live here?
no, there's employees that work
No, I
here.
understand, I'm just asking.
but it's a
I mean, what
permitted
kind of
use. and
security
That's,
do they have?
that's what.
They
it
have
is a-
all the correct security and everything?
They have all this correct security. One of the things we did stop really asking for was having the security there extra hours beforehand. We're not seeing the lines that we anticipated when they first come before us. We thought there was going to be long lines waiting
Yeah.
outside. We're not seeing that. A lot of the facilities are starting to have larger lobbies for people to come in and out. So that's the one thing we don't ask for. But their security plan has to be approved by the CRC, City of Atlantic City, and they do supply that to us. And their cameras are all tied to the Achilles Center at ACPD.
I'm sorry, but we have people that work here.
Mm-hmm.
Where is the consumption outside gonna be?
It's going to be on the Pacific Avenue side of the building,
Okay.
on 2 patios that'll be
Because
facing
we
those
have a
streets.
nice outdoor deck where people like to have lunch, and I'm just bringing it up. I mean, I understand it meets all the requirements.
It does.
Okay.
And it has to be set back from property lines a certain distance as well, and it met those requirements. Not our requirements, CRC
Right,
requirements.
right.
Joe?
So Lance, on the outdoor consumption, it's facing Pacific Avenue, I guess, above that tree line?
I think I have the site plan on here.
Sorry.
So see if I get the architecture up here. No, that's it. So the outdoor consumption would be along this side of the building. There's 2 locations of it. One is There's a space you can rent out for private events on this side, and then back towards the back side of the building would be right here. This is Pacific Avenue to the bottom, Pennsylvania Avenue here, and Gordon's Alley running down to the right.
And I'm just asking, what is the square footage for the indoor consumption?
I
And
have-
the square footage for the outdoor consumption?
Outdoor is a small area, maybe 10 by 20, each of those, so 400 square feet total. And indoor, I don't recall the exact indoor square footage of the consumption lounge.
Any additional questions?
I'd just like to ask Lance, and I should probably know this answer. Is alcohol served in any of these?
It is not.
No.
It
It
is
is not. And my understanding is you cannot bring your own product in there, you have to purchase it on site. That's a question I'm
And there's
asking.
28 that we've approved so far, that, not close, I don't need to.
That's correct.
And like you talk to these people, do they expect their clients to be tourists or?
Quite a few of them. I asked that question at probably the last 5 or 6 hearings we've had. You know, how are you going to make yourself successful? There's 28, 27 other of these facilities in the city. How are you going to separate yourself and make it successful? We want them all to succeed. We don't want them to improve these buildings, put the money into it, and then not succeed, because then the building's vacant again. That's what we don't want to see.
Well, somebody must think they're gonna make a lot of money, let's be honest. Okay, that's, Danny and I might.
They are aware of the challenge.
Any additional questions? Public comment? There being no public comment, I will entertain a motion to adopt. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Do I have a second?
Second, Mr. Chairman.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. All right. That's one thing about my colleague, he's consistent. All right. Thank you, Lance. The Lynch Show is coming to an end. We are now moving on to the Atlantic Avenue Road Diet. Lisa, can you come here?
Resolution of the Casino Reinvestment Development Authority rejecting the Atlantic Avenue Road Diet Project proposed by the City of Atlantic City for Atlantic Avenue between Maine and Albany in the City of Atlantic City under CRDA file number 2024-05-3639, based on the findings, conclusions, and recommendations set forth in the hearing officer's report dated June 21st, 2024.
Thank you, Lisa. Any recusals?
I agree with you.
Okay, so get you that out.
Anthony Chapman couldn't vote on it.
All right, Jane, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chairman. Good afternoon, members of the board. This item concerns the Atlantic Avenue Road Diet Project proposed by the City of Atlantic City. The project proposes to construct roadway and traffic control improvements along Atlantic Avenue within the Atlantic City Tourism District and is intended to implement safety improvements for motorists, pedestrians, and bicyclists. The project consists of a number of components: asphalt repaving, roadway striping and paveway markings, ADA improvements, pedestrian lighting, overhead street signage, the installation of fiber optic cables to support state-of-the-art traffic signal timing improvements, and a road diet, which would result in the reduction of traffic lanes from the current 5 lanes to 3 lanes, including a painted center lane with left-hand turn, and the installation of bike lanes along portions of Atlantic Avenue. The project was broken down in 3 phases. Phase 1 from Maine to Tennessee, which essentially was completed in December of 2023. It's the new markings and bicycle lanes that you see right up Tennessee Avenue here when you get to Atlantic. Phase 2A is a fiber optic installation only. So they laid the conduit for the fiber optics that will support the state-of-the-art traffic signal improvements. That was essentially completed for the entire project area, also in December of 2023, as I understand. Phase 2 from Tennessee Avenue to Albany is currently under review. I believe it's still with the NJDOT for review. Upon commencement of the Phase 1 part of the project, several casinos and Atlantic Health filed a suit to enjoin the implementation of the project. The authority pursuant to PL 2011, Chapter 18, which grants the authority exclusive jurisdiction over the control and direction of traffic within the tourism district, intervened in the litigation and filed an order to show cause seeking to assert the authority's jurisdiction. In the context of the litigation, Simon Judge Blee entered an order on May 14th and directed the authority to review the project for consistency with the Tourism District Master Plan, as well as sound traffic engineering design standards within 45 days. As directed, the authority's Department of Planning and Development convened a public hearing on June 14th and heard testimony and public comment on the project to review the project with a focus on its consistency with the Tourism District Master Plan and sound traffic engineering design standards. As to the master plan, while each of the other components of the project are viewed as very beneficial and would be very welcomed within the tourism district, the road diet component specifically was found by the uncontroverted professional planning opinion that was offered by the CRDA planning consultant, Ms. Capone, to be inconsistent with the goals and objectives of the Tourism District Master Plan. Specifically, that the project's road diet of Atlantic Avenue will inhibit the free flow of traffic and exacerbate existing traffic conditions, thus negatively impacting ongoing economic development throughout the tourism district. Secondly, the project will directly conflict with the master plan's design and improvement guidelines for Atlantic Avenue, which specifically include that Atlantic Avenue should be maintained and further developed as the city's main circulation artery. And lastly, Mr. Fallon also noted that the tourism master plan identifies the existing bicycle route along the boardwalk and states the need to investigate connections to other portions of the tourism district and the rest of the city. However, while the master plan identifies proposed bicycle routes along certain local roads, it does not recommend Atlantic Avenue as a proposed bicycle route. With regard to the sound traffic engineering design standard, the opinion of the CRDA traffic expert, Mr. Trital, was that the traffic counts, crash analysis, and other information relied on by the city in support of the project are incomplete and outdated, and that the information provided by the city does not adequately assess the impacts of the project on Atlantic Avenue and adjacent roadways. Of particular concern, the city's own traffic report concluded that the project will result in a degradation of the level of service at 28 of the 33 intersections, including 6 intersections experiencing a degradation in level of service for bicycles and pedestrians. Additionally, the current concerns raised by Mr. Shropshire, Boardwalk Regency's traffic expert, regarding the traffic safety issue and negative impact to traffic flow that will result from the estimated 16% reduction in east-west road capacity and multiple transitions along Atlantic Avenue that will result from the road diet proposed under the project are also worthy of noting. Accordingly, based on testimony and the evidence presented at the hearing, as hearing officer, I have found that the city has not met its burden to demonstrate that specifically the reduction of traffic lanes along Atlantic Avenue, known as the road diet, is consistent with the Tourism District Master Plan or the Tourism District Act, and recommend that it should be rejected in that respect.
Thank you, Jane.
Thank you.
Board discussion, questions from board members?
Well, I think it just, and we've talked about this before, we hire experts to advise us.
I know it's confusing when they first put all those paint lines down, you know, coming out of town, like you're wondering whether or not you're supposed to be in a lane.
Yeah.
You know, there was no bikes out in the wintertime, you know, but still, do we still shut the boardwalk down at 10 PM like they used to for bikes, or what's going on out on the boardwalk
You can
for
shut down the
bicycles
system.
these days?
As a biking enthusiast, I ride year-round on the boardwalk, and no, we are abruptly being kicked off at noon
Okay.
with an excess of police and harassment on the boardwalk with no safe route to go. When asked the police officers where can we ride, there are no clear answer where bicyclists ride.
But that answers your question.
So if I can answer
Thank
that
you.
question as well on behalf of the city, I didn't know public can just.
Well,
Wait,
just,
just a minute.
we want to get into that. So, any other comment from board members? If not, I'll open up the public comment.
Do I go up there?
Anthony, yeah.
Good afternoon, board, through board president to board members. I am the business administrator, Anthony Swan, of the city of Atlantic City. I'm speaking on behalf of the Atlantic City Road Diet, as it's called. I call it road calming, traffic calming measures that we need to take. I just want to go over some facts that we all should be aware of, that we all know. Atlantic Avenue has been designated as one of the most dangerous roadways in South Jersey. Let me say that again. Atlantic Avenue has been designated as one of the most dangerous roadways in Atlantic City, in South Jersey. That, I found that was surprising when I heard about it. The other fact is this project has been spoken about since 2012. Right? This didn't just come up. It's been on everyone's radar, CRDA's included, since 2012. This is the administration that tried to move it forward to address one issue really, and that is the safety issue. So our city council, who are elected by the taxpayers, voted to move this project forward. And you've heard our city council complain that there are two Atlantic cities. The ones elected by the residents and the folks at CRDA who we have to go to. But let me say this up front. We consider CRDA a partner. Eric, the new director, is fantastic. Mo, Maisha, all the CRDA team, we consider you guys part of our team. So it was surprising when we took the measure of going to court and all that other stuff. I really didn't understand it. But everyone agrees that Atlantic Avenue has to be repaved. Everyone knows that the city doesn't have access to the bond market, so we can't fund it. The only way we can get it done is through the grant process. CRDA doesn't have the money to pave Atlantic Avenue, but it's not just the paving. There are going to be 256 new street lights installed. Everyone complains about it's dark. We're lighting it up. Traffic signal synchronization, and that's to deal with the smooth flow of traffic. You guys, everyone has complained about that. We're fixing that. The fiber installation isn't just for the traffic signals, it's for our security cameras. We have another project, we're going to put cameras on the poles and try to light up the entire city, residential areas included, on camera coverage. So we know what's going on in the city. The advanced technology that was spoken of is we will have the ability to control the flow of traffic. If there's an event, we can change the lights so that people get in the city and out of the city. That is another benefit that we have. The traffic signals at the crosswalks will have the audible alerts. You can cross, you don't cross, whatever it's going to be. And that is important for our individuals with physical limitations or handicapped individuals, visually impaired individuals, and so forth. We don't have that now. So, in fact, I know that we installed it at one intersection just recently because someone complained and said that they felt it was dangerous. So the city went ahead and installed it, not, I don't believe it's Atlantic Avenue, but we did do that. Bike lanes for cyclists. You heard a comment about the boardwalk. Well, the boardwalk has an ordinance that tells you when you can ride your bike on the boardwalk and when you can't. And no electric vehicles are supposed to be on the boardwalk. So PD is enforcing the ordinance that, again, was passed by the elected officials of the city of Atlantic City. What is critical, I don't know if you guys know this, is the city there's a gentleman that travels the United States, and what he does is he goes and sees our municipalities ADA compliant. And he's been here once. And as a result of that, he filed a lawsuit in federal district court, which the city had to defend, and it resulted in the city making all these curb cuts and so forth. But we know, as we sit here today, that Atlantic Avenue is not ADA compliant. So that has to be fixed. Another benefit is uniform street signage up and down Atlantic Avenue. Again, I've heard folks talk about that. So, another added benefit is jobs for our union brothers and sisters. They're going to be employed during this project, working this project, and hopefully we have Atlantic City situated businesses that bid on it and really bid. So with that, I can say this. I think everybody likes those improvements. Everybody is on board with that. But keep in mind, the width of the street is not changing. It's going to be able to accommodate 2 lanes on this side, 2 lanes on that side. The only thing that we're doing is we're, up to a certain point, condensing it down to 1 lane. Except when you get into the center city area, it's going to be the same. It's still going to be the 4 lanes on each side, 2 lanes on each side, plus the center lane. But what we're really, really talking about here is safety. So we know that there's a lot of concern that traffic is going to be backed up and so forth. I've heard the casino execs say that, hey, they're not going to be able to get to my casino. We know that folks don't drive down Atlantic Avenue to these casinos. They go across Atlantic Avenue. We all know that. But what you're doing is you're balancing the value of someone's life, because these are safety changes, versus convenience.
Yep.
And I will stand here every day of the week and argue with you that I don't care if I got to sit in traffic for 2 more minutes if somebody doesn't die. So I came here today just to put on the record, hopefully this is recorded, so that we understand what we're talking about here. This project comes with either 2 or 1 year look back. We look at it after 1 year. If it's not working, we change it back to the way it was, but we have all the safety improvements in place, paid for by the federal government. If you vote it down, are you going to fund it? Because these things have to get done. There are people's lives at stake, people who can't get across the street as fast as you or I, but we're going to sit here and not placing blame, but I said this to the governor's office as well. I will go on record and say paint does not equate to someone's life. And all we have to do, if it doesn't work, is change the paint back. If you're unwilling to look at this and try it, if something happens, tell that family, look them in the eye and say, you know, it was going to be inconvenient for the consumers, or inconvenient for this, or inconvenient for a business. See what reaction you get from them. So I asked you, I heard the report that was given by the hearing officer. If you are inclined to vote it down today, vote it down conditionally. Conditioned upon the city, the governor's office, and CRDA coming together to figure this out. Because you cannot leave this the way it is. You cannot. Our #1 role as public officials is to ensure the safety of the residents and the visitors to Atlantic City, not exclusive of each other. So with that, I thank you, Board President, for your time, and Board
Thank you,
members.
Anthony. Councilman?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Executive Director, Deputy Director, and board members. My name is Kaleem Shabazz. I am the representative of the 3rd Ward in the City of Atlantic City. I'm also the Vice President of City Council of Atlantic City, and I have served, this is going in my third term, I've served 8.5 of the 9 years as the Chairman of the Planning and Development Committee for City Council in the City of Atlantic City. First of all, let me associate myself with the remarks of the BA, which were very focused, and I am in agreement with it. Secondly, let me say that as the Chairman of the Planning and Development Committee, it is my testimony for your record that the process of getting us to the road diet was not just a helter-skelter process that the city came up with. There were several meetings held by the state DOT and the federal DOT in the city of Atlantic City. In fact, I held a joint meeting in the ward that I represent with several hundred people, with a city engineer, Department of Transportation, federal and the state level, to talk about the road diet. The BA is right when he says about the statistics of Atlantic Avenue that was quoted to us. In fact, a couple of our constituents have actually been killed going across Atlantic Avenue. I would respectfully suggest that you reject the report of your professionals who are well-intentioned, are professionally qualified, and did a good job. But I would say that the safety of the public is more important than anything that we have to consider. And I'm one of the aforementioned elected officials that the DA talked about. I happen to represent people who live in Atlantic City and work in Atlantic City and pay taxes in Atlantic City. And more than that, I happen to be on the governing body that makes decisions for the whole of Atlantic City. And I can tell you that we respect the casino industry. The casino industry is a bedrock of our economy in the city of Atlantic City and also in the county. But I would suggest that their economic interest doesn't take precedence over safety. And I would say that we should not, we must not take an action that pushes public safety below anything else. Economic interests are important, and I would suggest that we can do both. That we can support economic interest and public safety. And I would only say in conclusion, a couple of my constituents, I won't reveal their name on the agenda, but they said to me, they said, Councilman, isn't the CRDA a state agency? I said, yes. And then they said, isn't the city working with a partnership and under the state? And I said, yes. And one of the more erudite members said, how is it that a state agency is suing the city for city improvement? I said, well, that's a good question. Hopefully, as the BA said, we'll be able to come to a negotiated settlement that makes sense. As I take my seat, I would just say, please consider the safety issues. Also, please consider the optics. I don't even think we should be here, that CRDA should be suing the city over making improvements that we've all been asking for. So I want to ask you to consider that, members of the board, and thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Councilman. Any additional public comment?
Yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Uzo. I am the city engineer. I'm going to try not to replicate what they've said, so I'm going to try and make it as brief as possible. This is not a project that was just sprung on everyone. When I joined the city, there was a study that was being done by JMT as a result of areas within the city where there were numerous accidents. They did the study, I'm going to be fast. They did the study, gave us the result of the study, and it showed that a couple of locations we probably cross every day. We didn't know how dangerous those locations were. Now, when you're in government like we are, if you don't know of something, that's different. But once you have record saying, you know this has been happening here or there, and you do nothing, that's a different case. Okay, that attorneys can handle that. So basically, we started looking for funding, and bear in mind, I had almost, like, I was involved in this thing. We had almost like 4 public hearings. We weren't hiding. 4 public hearings. and we also went before City Council. And SJTPO supported this project by name. The engineers there supported it. NJDOT, the same thing. So all these folks can't be wrong. Just understand that in our business called engineering, people qualify what they say by saying, it's my professional opinion. This guy may differ from this guy. They're all heading to the same area. But it's their professional opinion. Because I say this, getting to a place, and the guy says the other one, it doesn't mean I'm wrong or he's right. That's just his opinion. If you were at the hearing we had 2 weeks ago, the CRDA's traffic engineer basically said, you know, he exposed his distaste for diet projects. Look at the content. He expressed his displeasure. See, so that which means engineers coming into a project can look at it from various areas, not just technical, but also personal. You know, personal, it just varies. So that's how we got to this point. Now I'm going to jump to the planning process. I'm not just an engineer, I'm also a professional planner. And what I experienced here was just different. I've been doing this 40 years. Okay? Typically, when you submit an application to a board, there's what you call checklist. If it's incomplete, you tell me it's incomplete. You don't just sit on it. It doesn't happen like that. If I go to a land use board and I say, this is my application, you look at it. There's a timeline. If it's incomplete, you write me and tell me it's incomplete. You don't just walk away from it. Okay, I got you. No. That's not the way it works. It doesn't work like that. Okay? I submitted an application. The engineers submitted an application. The contractors also submitted an application. And there were conflicting responses. Mr. Reed received it, he acknowledged it, and basically he said he had no jurisdiction. So the contractor started working. But some other individuals, well, we didn't get it. Well, if you didn't get it or you got it, call me. We are in the city. My office is down here. Yours is down here. We've talked on every other thing in the world. Why can't we talk about this one? Why does it have to be different? We've talked about everything in the world. Why couldn't you just call me and say, well, Uzo, not even bureaucratically, the application you submitted, it's incomplete. We need this, and that. That was never done. But also when you're dealing with the planning board, there's that, ambience. Well, Mr. Developer, why don't we sit down? There's a deficiency here. This is deficient here. Let's talk about how to improve it. That never occurred. It was like, we didn't see it. That's not the way. It's not the way. A courtesy call or a letter saying it's incomplete, we need this, that never came. A call saying, hey, let's discuss this further. Everything I'm saying was at the preliminary stages. We could have talked. I'm going to hurry up. Yeah, I understand. We could have talked about it. So again, this is just to let you know the review process was absurd. Land use boards don't operate like that. They don't. Now, I'm going to go into the last one quick. Funding. Okay? The administration has done a lot in trying to get funding. Getting funding for Atlantic City is not easy. If this project is dumped, we're going to lose funding. Not only lose funding for this project, but guess what? All other federal funding. Not just here. Pacific also, they're going to look at us and they're going to turn like, they can't influence the project. Okay? That's not what we want. We want to work with CRDA hand in hand. What I've experienced recently, that's not the way. If I'm dealt like that by them, and we both serve the taxpayers, then who knows how they deal with the developers?
I got
Okay,
your point.
so I'm sorry,
No, I got
longer than I
point
thought.
point well taken.
Okay, thank you.
Members of the board, my name is Mark Moon. I'm an attorney representing the city of Atlantic City. I've been involved in both of the litigation as well as this process. I was here a week ago hearing before Ms. Montana. And I think it's important for this board to truly understand what it's voting on. This is, the report and Ms. Fontana's presentation to this board is a bit inaccurate. She points out bits and pieces of the project where she says, well, this we can support, but these aspects, whether it's the bike lane, whether it's the road reduction, the lane reduction aspect of the project, those are things that the board, the creator cannot support. That's not the reality we live in. The choice is not between what parts of the project that creator can support and what projects that does not support. The choice is between the status quo and what the project has to offer. The business administrator, the councilman, the city engineer, they provide you what the status quo is. Atlantic Avenue is the most dangerous road in South Jersey. That's the reality. There are danger issues, there are ADA compliance issues, there are just general maintenance issues. You want to talk about what this entity is meant for? You talk of economic development, you need to modernize infrastructure in order for that economic development to flourish. This project provides an opportunity to modernize the infrastructure on Atlantic Avenue. Chief Sarko stood here a week ago, and he talked about all the benefits this project has to offer. We have an event going on in the city, a lot of people coming in. Click of a button, traffic signals can be synchronized to flow the traffic in. When patrons are leaving, click of a button, flows the traffic right out. None of that exists right now. That's what the status quo is. The system's antiquated. The status quo is the city does not have the capacity to bond. This is the solution is offered in this project. Make no mistakes about it. There's no plan B. This is the way to go ahead because it's paid for. The U.S. federal, you can point to the studies done, and we take issue with a lot of the statistics and data that were presented by both the objectors as well as the board's professionals. But make no mistake about it. First, as a general matter, road diets are generally supported by both the United States Department of Transportation as well as the state of New Jersey Department of Transportation. Google it, search the websites, they are supported. According to the U.S. Department of Transportation, the Federal Highway Administration, road diets can see up to 47% reduction in motor vehicle crashes. Now, let's start with that premise. Number two, we look at the funding that's supporting this project. Under, as many of you know, this was funded in major part by the RAISE grant funds that were passed in 2019-2020. The only reason that the city was able to proceed in that grant process was because of the traffic calming measures that it presented, that it was a benefit of the safety. If you look at and research into the grant, there's certain criteria that the project has to meet. Number one is safety. And as everyone that stood here before you from the city has said to you, that was always been the number one priority. Pedestrian crashes are too high. It's been a concern in 2014 when Rutgers did its traffic study, and it's been a problem in 2019 when JMT did their traffic study. That was the seed of what this project was. The status quo is that the road is dangerous. Pedestrians in particular. This project provides them bike lanes, colored bike lanes that delineate them from the road, provide safe access for pedestrians. Number two, basics. Crossing 2 lanes of traffic is easier than crossing 4 lanes of traffic. And that buffer area for the bike lanes provides more visibility for both pedestrians as well as motor vehicles traveling down the road. So that's the thing. Environmental considerations. Another criteria that the RAISE grants strongly considered when they granted this. Again, pedestrian bike lanes, promoting pedestrian travel in the city of Atlantic City. These are the things that made the project appealing to the federal government when they granted these funds. Inclusion. Right in the name, the RAISE grant. Inclusion is the I in equality, and equity. The ADA compliances cannot be said, it cannot be understated how important that aspect of this project is. As Business Administrator Swan had indicated, the street's not an ADA compliant, and it's a problem. This is a solution to solve that problem. So make no mistake about it, this is not a decision about, well, we like this part, we don't like this part. It's not an a la carte menu you can pick and choose from. What this board is voting on is whether you want to leave Atlantic Avenue the way it is. Outdated, dangerous, unsafe, and how does that promote economic development? How does that promote modernization? Yes, you can take criticism about, well, we didn't look at all the intersections that we needed to, or question the data, but we're the only ones that performed any data. There were no traffic counts presented to counteract the evidence that was presented by the city. We are the ones, the city's the ones that hired the engineers and went out and basically did the traffic counts. And sit here and pick and choose and say, well, it could have been done on a different day, it should have been done on these intersections or not intersections, without any sort of countervailing studies, any countervailing research. Again, the reality is, this project has been going on for over 10 years. My involvement has been, and I was shocked at how long this goes back to. It's 2011 when the city adopted its Safe Streets program. This solves so many problems, and as Business Administrator Swan said, at the end of the day, we're always going to be able to look back and say, hey, did this work? A denial from this board kills the project now. No plan B. It's done. It's over. Project remains the same.
Can I interrupt you for a second?
Sure.
Okay. What I'm trying to understand is the safety stuff. I get. I mean, I mean, some of the things that were said that we don't care about safety is really not accurate. Why hasn't this been done before? It doesn't take a road changing 2 lanes to do a curb cut, to synchronize the lights. Why is it all contingent? Is the grant contingent upon the lane changes?
Sir, he who pays the piper that tells him what to pay. In this case, the funding agency is Federal Highway.
It's just a yes or no. Is the funding contingent
It is.
upon the widening or de-widening?
That's what the argument is.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. That's all. I just wanted to.
What's
And
the
so-
value of the project that we're slated to lose dollars from the federal government, like the rest of the project that's not?
I want to say 10.2 million.
We're
So
about-
it's approximately a $20 million project.
About
portion that's
$23
already
million,
been done.
and we'll lose about 10 to 12. Again, just don't quote me, I have to look at the paper here.
That's good enough for me, thank you, sir.
And again,
And we have to get ready.
Sure, but I also want you,
It's not just this.
again, it's not just about the narrowing of the road. The traffic synchronization is part of the project.
Right.
So they go hand in hand. So the reason why this couldn't be done is because the traffic synchronization, obviously, that's the costlier part of the project. The painting of the lanes isn't what's eating up the chunk of the budget. It's the modernization of the traffic signals, which is meant to mitigate any sort of congestion or concerns of delay. So one works with the other. So this isn't something that, well, we could have done, but we just, didn't want to. It wasn't a new idea that we came up with. The RAISE grant was the unique opportunity to do all the things that we could do to get the project done to address the concerns.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional?
I'll be quick.
You don't wanna, yeah, I guess you're done.
Real quick, good afternoon, everybody. Long story short, from what I understand, years ago, when South Jersey Gas came down, they had to give the city $8 to $10 million because they dug the road up with that big hole to put the 12-inch mains down. So there's 10 million sitting there somewhere, and that came from a South Jersey Gas person. Now, we're talking about safety, intersections, and the gentleman in the back brought up some good issues. Down to it comes to paint. New York, Baltimore, Philly, Miami, Vegas, LA, I'm going on for days. 10, 15 wide highways, the lights are synchronized, the stick guy is talking 5 seconds to 10 seconds, this, that, and third, the whole line. No one from Margate, Longport, Ventnor, AC is going to actually use the bike lanes. It ain't happening. Those who were here after 6 o'clock, which is very few of you, know that. I'm a critter of the night. I see it. And it's not going to happen. It's just not. Personally, take a lane out of Arctic or Fairmont Avenue, push the people back a little bit, and let them go that route. But Atlantic Avenue, every street has 5 businesses minimal with customers. So you have delivery trucks,
the buses, everything else coming down. Miss Maddock would tell you, with her trucks, Kramer, US Food, Cisco, on and on. Just envision and draw it up, Laura's an engineer here, and lay it out. Because what's gonna happen is that person's gonna come in this lane, veer over, not pay attention, and regardless, there's going to be an accident, okay? It's going to happen. To keep it parking, 2 lanes going, 2 lanes coming, parking is the best. Now, where I'm located, you got me, Doc's Oyster House, the Angeloni's, Boardwalk Hall. You have a main artery coming in, okay? It's like your heart. It just doesn't split into a smaller one right away. You would suffocate and die. Like a pipe in the ground, a 6-inch main to a 2-inch main, or a big electrical line to go down to a 12-volt thing. It doesn't work. Traffic is the same thing, okay? But to go from 2 lanes, leave it alone, to go back down to 2, now you got a blood clot. Okay, it doesn't work for Tropicana. I care less what they do, but it won't work for them because they do get traffic on Atlantic and Pacific. They need all the relief they can get to head to the quarter, okay? Now, Boardwalk Hall's rocking and rolling, doing very well. How do you get 10, 15,000 people in and out going to 2 lanes? Doesn't work. Bally's with the new investment and everybody else. It ain't just me. Care less. But to get circulation going, do the study at nighttime. All you 9 to 5ers, stay after 5 o'clock once in a while and look at it. Nighttime is when AC makes the money, and it has been still to this day after COVID. Look at it at night and be fair, do a winter study and do a summer study. But long story short, if this goes through, I'm telling you, they say they're gonna repaint the lines, they're not, and it's gonna triple on the accidents. Thank you.
Any additional?
Yeah, one more speaker.
I just want to say greetings to the board. My name is Mike Perugini. I'm the city solicitor. I've been representing the city for about 25 years now. We've had a lot of dealings with the CRDA. I've worked with many people in the CRDA. Logic and reasonableness is always played out. Here, I can't sit there and not get up and speak about this issue right now. I can't think of one reason why this board cannot grant this resolution approving of the road diet. Contingent on a 12-month study. We'll work hand in hand with everybody. We'll pay for the study. If this doesn't work, we're right back to the drawing board. But there's no reason why this board can't grant this application right now, contingent on a study. That's the logical, reasonable way to do anything. You get hard data, a real study, that'll accomplish the goal that we want to reach here. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
A little frustrating.
Good afternoon, my name is John Himes. I'm here today as my own personal remarks, even though I participate in a lot of other boards and agencies. One of the things that strikes me is not necessarily this process about safety or even the repaving of the street, but it's the process itself. This goes back to 2020 when this first went before City Council. And at that time, my understanding is that City Council was not provided with complete documentation as to the project. There was a lot of go along with it kind of thing. To the extent where the meeting minutes for the special City Council meeting are actually missing from the city's website. So the only way to review it is through the actual videotape that was produced by the city. The challenge I have here is not the improvements need to be done. It is that process. It has been known since then that the CRDA had jurisdiction in this matter, and it was ignored. It was kicked down the street. It was, doesn't matter what they say, we're just going to do it anyway. I think we're at a juncture now where it's been asserted by the courts that you do have jurisdiction in this matter, and you need to hold that card if what they're saying is we can restripe it in some period of time. You need documentation to that effect and what that process looks like. I don't necessarily believe it exists, simply because I personally met with Congressman Van Drew about the matter, so that I had a complete picture as to what was involved in the project. The bottom line is the project is a cut to fit. It is, you want the money, here's what it has to do. No deviance one way or the other. So, but the thing that strikes me too is we're talking about safety. And yet, despite the fact that this project's been delayed year after year after year, there are intersections up and down Atlantic Avenue that have not been painted in how long? Isn't it a function of city government to say, to look ahead and say, well, geez, you know, we have a project to paint lines, we should be painting it, regardless of what the construction time frame is. That's the responsibility of government. So all I would suggest to this board is if you have a lingering doubt as to the viability of this project, I don't think that there's any harm to it to hold off another month until you get the documentation or the information that you need to be 100% sure that it could be converted back after a period of time that it doesn't work. Thank you very much.
Any additional public comment? All right, there being no additional public comment, I'm going to make a quick comment and sort of give perspective from the folks that sit around this table. So we understand the safety concern with Atlantic Avenue. We've heard those concerns for years, and we heard that the city was putting something together to address sort of the traffic concerns and the lights and all that. But in the spirit of partnership, and we have, in my opinion, an amazing partnership with the city, with the councilman, with the BA, with the mayor, with the team. But when this project first got started, and I think that is why we're here today, and I do believe this is going to be resolved. But the reason why we're here today is when this project first got started, your partner wasn't around the table. And if your partner was around the table, we wouldn't be having this conversation today, because we partnered with the city on the street lights. We spent over $5 million addressing street lights within the city. We partnered with the city on public safety. We spent over $5 million almost annually on public safety initiatives in partnership with the city. The green zone. There were some people around this table who had trepidation around partnering with the city on the green zone. But we said, this is something the city, the mayor, the city council, administration, they would like to do. And we said, okay, we're going to partner with our partner to implement and execute on what their vision is for the city. And we're going to do the same thing with this. There's no doubt in my mind that we will. In fact, while this debate has been raging, we've been in conversations with the DOT, we've been in conversations with the front office and the governor's office. We're going to come to a resolution. It won't be the way the city would like to see the resolution resolved, but that's called compromise. That's called getting around a table, figuring out what the problem is, and addressing the problem with all the key stakeholders around the table. So that's what we're going to do. And so I just want to put that out there, because I listen to everyone speak, and I know how we comport ourselves. I know that since I've been chair, I know the number of items that have come before us that are city items, and we are here to roll up our sleeves whenever there's an issue with the city and the city can't handle or they need a partner. I know I have that spirit, and I know the majority of people in this room, on this board, have that spirit as well. So with that being said, I'm going to ask for a motion to approve the recommendation. So, do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Me.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, we're going to move on to our next item.
If I could, Mr. Chairman, this has been, we heard a very passionate talk, and you said it exactly, compromise. All I heard from the city officials, this is it, there's no plan B, there's nothing else. I just wanted to say that, and that's a credit to you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. All right, so we're going to move on to Atlantic City Visitor Guide and Map Printing Services. This is going to be less controversial than the last item.
This will be fun.
Lisa, can you read the resolution?
Sure. Resolution of the Casino Reinvestment Development Authority approving award of a contract to GNF Graphic Services Incorporated, doing business as Insert Police Incorporated, for printing services for the official Atlantic City Visitor Guide and Visitor Map in an amount not to exceed $305,236, $149,115 for year one, and $156,115 for year two, for the 2-year period beginning September 1, 2024, and ending August 31, 2026.
Any recusals? Karen, floor is yours.
Hello, good afternoon, board members, chairman. We are looking to award a contract to print our visitor guide and map for a 2-year period.
as was just read. We've been printing the visitor guide probably since the 1990s or before. We print the guide in quantities of 50,000, and we print the map in quantities of $350,000. Our current contract was with G&F Graphic Services, doing business as Inserts East, and that expires this coming August 31st. We went out to RFP in March of 2024, and we received one response, and it was from this company, G&F Graphics. They're out of Pennsauken, New Jersey. The total amount, $305,236, covers a 2-year period. If you'll recall, last month, I think, we had on the board for the distribution. This is actually for the printing of the guide, again, for a 2-year period. The guide is used, and it's still considered a useful tool. It's our official visitor guide and brochure for Atlantic City. The guides and maps are distributed at the Boardwalk Information Center, at the Convention Center, at all trade and consumer shows. Requests are fulfilled by our visitor services personnel over at the center via online, and they're also distributed at the travel plazas that were approved for the distribution last month. Visit Atlantic City sales team uses these exclusively. We did do a survey. I know a lot of times it's come up whether a paper guide is still necessary. It is considered a useful tool. The New Jersey Travel Industry Association said paper visitor guides are still needed. Wildwood, Newark, Ocean City, Cape May, the state of New Jersey, and many more print and distribute the guide as we do through a brochure distribution company. We also order throughout the year from all the other destinations across the U.S., and everyone pretty much is still printing them. So we're looking for the board to authorize to enter into this contract for 2 years with G&F Graphics, doing business as Inserts East.
Thank you, Karen. Board discussion, questions?
So the distribution contract we signed was just for 1 year, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So I just was curious then, why is the printing for 2 years?
That has been the way we've done it in the past. I'm not quite sure why it was 1 year for distribution. I don't know how many companies are out there that do that, but we will have to go out to RFP for that again next year.
I know that you say that, and I trust that it says that we do need paper guides, but I do think maybe a hybrid model with less paper and also an app or some sort of QR code would be beneficial and a lot less expensive.
That makes sense.
So I feel like doing a 2-year locks us into a certain number, that we could even start looking at doing some sort of a hybrid model.
My question was gonna be similar, does this brochure come with a QR reader?
Yes.
Or it does?
Yes.
Because we're switching everything over for our membership on my day job to apps and stuff like
Yes, there
that.
definitely are
People
QR
are just
codes
using these
that's
for
available
everything.
online.
That's a good feature.
As an eMag type thing, and we do get a lot of requests, a lot of, from Canada, that they love their paper guides during the pandemic. It was interesting trying to get them to all those.
There are still old school people out there that don't use this stuff, so we have to.
Any other questions? Public comment? There being no public comment, I will entertain a motion to adopt. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second, Mr. Chairman.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Opposed?
It's carried. Okay. We're now moving on to the Community Food Bank of New Jersey. Lisa, give me the resolution.
Resolution of the Casino Reinvestment Development Authority establishing a fund reservation in an amount not to exceed $100,000 from the Tourism District and Community Development Fund. Award of the Community Development Grant to the Community Food Bank of New Jersey, and authorizing the Executive Director to negotiate and execute a grant agreement with the Community Food Bank of New Jersey in an amount not to exceed $100,000 to support their established healthy food distribution efforts in Atlantic City.
Thank you, Lisa. Any recusals? John, the floor is yours.
All right, thank you, Chairman. Good afternoon, everyone. I just wanted to make a note before we got into the grants that to date, out of the $2 million cap, we have awarded $962,670.15 in grant funds for the first grant period of this year. By application dated April 19th, 2024, Community Food Bank of New Jersey has requested funding in the not to exceed amount of $100,000 to provide increased access to fresh produce and protein at Atlantic City food pantries by distributing pre-packed boxes of fresh food. The Community Food Bank serves as a champion for addressing root causes of hunger, delivering neighbor-centered solutions, and fostering partnerships across all sectors of society in the state. The authority has funded 4 phases of their emergency food distribution during the pandemic in 2020 and 2021. Cost of living remains high, with food and housing prices straining budgets. This stresses the need and urgency of a comprehensive and coordinated response. The authority's support will enable the food bank to sustain its food access programs and services to a network of more than 50 partners in the city. These partners include food pantries, child feeding programs, community distributions, senior feeding programs, shelters, and soup kitchens. The requested $100,000 will enable them to purchase and distribute more than 125,000 pounds of boxed fresh food, providing enough food for nearly 105,000 meals. That roughly breaks down to about 4,900 produce boxes, which are 20 pounds each, and about 1,400 protein boxes, also 20 pounds, and they contain milk, eggs, cheese, yogurt, and cooked chicken. The recommendation is to authorize the fund reservation in an amount not to exceed $100,000 and award a community development grant to the Community Food Bank of New Jersey.
Thank you, John. Board discussion, questions? Public comment? There being no public comment, I will entertain a motion to adopt. Do I have a motion?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes carried. We're moving on to the Salvation Army Atlantic City. Lisa, can you read the resolution?
Resolution of the Casino Reinvestment Development Authority establishing a fund reservation in an amount not to exceed $10,000 from the Tourism District and Community Development Fund, and authorizing the Executive Director to negotiate and execute a grant agreement with the Salvation Army to support their summer education program at Atlantic City.
Thank you. Is there any recusals? John, can you walk through this one as well?
Sure. The Salvation Army has been serving the people of Atlantic City for decades with an array of social services and emergency assistance. By application dated April 18th, 2024, Salvation Army Atlantic City has requested financial assistance in the form of a community development grant in a not to exceed amount of $10,000 to purchase 3 smart boards to support their summer education programming in Atlantic City. Essentially, they're lacking the technology in their facility to maintain proper engagement with the youth. These interactive whiteboards are very effective in keeping the attention of the students because they enable instructors to incorporate a diverse collection of media and visual materials into their teaching methods. The Salvation Army intends to utilize the smart boards in their after-school and summer camp programs to continue educating the youth of the city on vital topics. I know that they mentioned that this summer's focus is on obesity and physical wellness. At the time of the application, they already had over 30 kids signed up for the summer day camp. The total cost to run the summer day camp is about $24,000. The Salvation Army will be covering this with donations, fundraising, and registration fees. The requested $10,000 is outside of that summer day camp budget. And since there are no ongoing expenses associated with these smart boards, once acquired, they plan to continue using them without any additional financial commitments.
Thank you. Board discussion, questions? Public comment? There being no public comment, I will entertain a motion to adopt. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion?
Second.
All those in favor? Any opposed? Ayes carried. John, don't go anywhere. All right, Jewish Family Services Travelers Assistance Program. Lisa, can you read the resolution?
Resolution of the Casino Reinvestment Development Authority establishing a fund reservation in the not to exceed amount of $20,000 from the Tourism District and Community Development Fund, awarding a community development grant to the Jewish Family Services of Atlantic County, and authorizing the Executive Director to negotiate and execute a community development grant agreement with Jewish Family Services of Atlantic County to support the Travelers Assistance Program to aid in the relocation and transportation assistance services of the homeless population in Atlantic City in an amount not to exceed $20,000.
Any recusals?
Have to recuse.
Correct. John, you want to walk us through this one?
Yes, thank you. Application dated April 30th, 2024, Jewish Family Service of Atlantic County has requested financial assistance in the form of a community development grant in the not to exceed amount of $20,000 to support its ongoing work under the Travelers Assistance Program. We've been funding this program at JFS as the administrator since 2014. The requested $20,000 will be utilized for expenses for bus, train, or plane tickets to reunite individuals with a family member, friend, or service provider in another community. Connecting people with services and support systems to exit homelessness is much more cost efficient than the crisis services they often need if they experience prolonged homelessness. This creates an economic benefit for the city by reducing long-term public costs associated with homelessness, such as ER visits, hospitalization, and justice system involvement. JFS leverages the staff time of the Atlantic Homeless Alliance team and the Atlantic City Community Team in partnership with the ACPD to identify people in need of travel assistance. They conduct quick assessments and then provide wraparound services needed to coordinate a return to a person's community of origin or an alternate community where they have supports. And utilizing this process with an emphasis on wraparound support, JFS rarely sees someone return to the city. The leveraged staff salaries are fundraised each year by JFS. So again, the $20,000 will just be used for the transportation costs associated with relocating these individuals.
Thank you, John. Board discussion, questions? Public comment? There being no public comment, I will entertain a motion to adopt. Do I have a motion?
Motion. Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, carried. John, you can relax. It's Maisha show now. All right. Let's see. Literacy, New Jersey. Lisa, can you read the resolution?
Resolution of the Casino Reinvestment Development Authority authorizing the amendment of the Community Development Plan Agreement with Literacy New Jersey Atlantic Cape to extend the grant term an additional 3 months through June 22nd, 2024.
Thank you. Any recusals? Maisha, will you walk us through it?
Absolutely. Good afternoon, Chairman and board members. Literacy New Jersey Atlantic Cape provides free quality instruction to adult learners by training, mobilizing, and supporting volunteers as certified tutors in basic literacy, life skills, and English for speaking for other languages. Literacy New Jersey helps students get a job or a better job, assist their children with their homework, continue their education, become EU citizens, and increase their community engagement. Pursuant to Resolution 23-46, adopted March 21st, 2023, the authority approved funding a 1-year community development grant request from Literacy New Jersey Atlantic Cape in the amount not to exceed $25,000 to support adult literacy services in Atlantic City. At the end of Q3, Literacy New Jersey Atlantic Cape delivered adult literacy services to 5 Atlantic City residents, 3 who both live and work in Atlantic City, 12 additional members of Atlantic City workforce who together have an incredible 205 combined hours of instructional time. During the entire grant life, 25 had received 516 changing hours of instruction. These students are casino workers, restaurant staff, and housekeeping staff who help with Atlantic City running. They are proud to have reached additional students in Q3. At the conclusion of the grant, there was an unspent balance of $3,750 originally allocated for rental space. Literacy New Jersey Atlantic Cape was able to secure spaces needed at the Free Public Library in Atlantic City, and Atlantic Care free the charges, which left the unspent balance. By letter dated April 22nd, 2024, Literacy New Jersey Atlantic Cape has requested extension of the grant agreement to include April, May, and June. During this time, Literacy New Jersey Atlantic Cape will use the unspent funds to continue their adult literacy service program. This request does not alter the original funding resolution. So, just quick sentence.
Board discussion, questions?
I have a question. Just,
Yes.
can you help me out with the date, with the dates, because obviously it's past June 24th of 24, so how does this,
So,
mechanically, how's it work?
By extending it, if they are right now in the midst of still doing the adult literacy program, so which allows them to use that money for April, May, and June.
So do we know from their perspective that all of the money that we would approve today, they
Will be spent down, yes.
Okay,
We have
thank you.
confirmed that.
Good question. Any additional questions? Public comment? There being no public comment, I will entertain a motion to adopt. Have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes, carry it. Aisha, the floor is still yours. We're moving on to NAN, Newark Tech World, Nan Tech World, Atlantic City. Lisa, can you read the resolution?
Resolution of the Casino Reinvestment Development Authority awarding a community development grant to Nan Newark Tech World, establishing a fund reservation in an amount not to exceed $464,000 from the Tourism District and Community Development Fund, and authorizing the executive director to negotiate and execute a grant agreement with Nan Newark Tech World to administer the Leaders in Training Youth Development Training Program during the summer and fall of 2024 in an amount not to exceed $464,000.
Thank you, Lisa. Any recusals? All right, Maisha, walk us through it.
Alright, National Action Network, NAN, is one of the leading civil rights organizations in the nation with chapters throughout the United States, founded by Reverend Al Sharpton in 1991. It's a New Jersey corporation, nonprofit corporation with offices in Newark, New Jersey. NAN Newark Tech World is a 501c3 organization established in April of 2016 and is a collaboration of various local stakeholders and a call to action to upskill Americans to obtain well-paying jobs in tech. NAN North Tech World is returning to Atlantic City to implement NAN Tech World, formerly known as Leaders in Training. Their mission is to empower youth through education, mentorship, skill-building program, and hands-on job experience. Their proposed sessions aim to create impactful learning experiences, foster personal development, and preparing young individuals for success in their academic and personal and professional journeys. By application dated April 26, 2024, NAN Tech World requested financial assistance in the form of community development grant in the amount not to exceed $464,000 to fund skill-building hands-on job experience program during the summer and fall of 2024 to cities at-risk youth population. I am going to mention that when this grant first came to us, the requested amount was about $776,000. After conversations with NAN Tech World, formerly LIT, we did let them know, as well as other grant appliers, that our funding mechanism has challenges and we had to change them. So after many conversations, we were able to get the grant down to $464,000 for the request. All requests for the funds from CRDA we put towards payroll expenses, the youth members ranging in ages 14 to 18 years old. The total cost to administer NAN Tech World AC will cost a total of $937,000. All other staffing, operational, and future costs will be covered through fundraising efforts, donations from private funders, and the continued financial support of Hard Rock Casino, Jingoli Morris Families, CANJ, Omni LLC. NAN North Tech World will provide employment to approximately 175 Atlantic City youth with programming tailored to accommodate after school and weekend hours. Youth will also participate in job placement services and career mentorship programs during these sessions. During the summer and fall sessions, 3 to 5 youth will participate in program design to introduce and educate them about offshore wind farms. These youth will then be selected to participate in live classrooms and hands-on instruction in the industry. Upon completion, these youth will be hired by Jingoli to work in upcoming Atlantic Shores project. In addition, NAN has partnered with the Carpenter's Apprenticeship Readiness Program to identify minorities in Atlantic City to participate in the Carpenter's Apprenticeship Readiness Program. These participants will receive hands-on instruction at the apprenticeship facility in Hamilton, New Jersey, where upon completion will become members of the Carpenters Union. Throughout the generosity of the CRDA and several other donors, this program has been able to make an economic impact to Atlantic City over the past 5 years. Through focus groups and pursuit surveys, NAN or Tech World has discovered that 60% of the youth use their earnings to contribute to household expenses, such as contributing to rent, utility bills, food costs, and other necessities for the home. This income also contributes to clothing, school supplies for youth participants and other age members, the other school age members in the household. Many youth come from home with minimal to no income and no transportation available to them, indicating that they spend majority of their money, if not all, in the community at local business here in the city. This source of income is much needed. It has attributed to creating a more stable environment for the city's youth. For many of the youth, the program's attendance or participation is required and means a steady and reliable income deterred from them getting involved in illegal activities, thus minimizing our youth's negative interactions with law enforcement and judicial systems. Any questions?
Thank you, Maisha. I think this is year what for this program?
Year 5.
Year 5 for this program. And you know, it's one of the programs that, of the things we support, has the most impact. So it's a joy to support them every year. And the work you did this year in truncating the award is pretty amazing. So, board discussion, questions?
Mr. Chairman, as much as I would like to concur with this one, I think I better abstain because of the correlation with our apprentice program.
Got it.
Thank you, sir. Yep.
Any other more comments, questions? Public comment? If there no public comment, I will entertain a motion to adopt. Do I have a motion? Do I have a second? Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes, carried. All right. This is your last one, Maisha. Atlantic Cape Community College AC Works. Lisa, can you read the resolution?
Resolution of the Casino Reinvestment Development Authority establishing a fund reservation in an amount not to exceed $308,622 from the Tourism District and Community Development Fund, awarding a community development grant to Atlantic Cape Community College, authorizing the remaining balance of $110,828.85 from Phase 2 to be utilized in Phase 3, and authorizing the Executive Director to negotiate and execute a grant agreement with Atlantic Cape Community College to support the Atlantic City Works Phase 3 program in an amount not to exceed $419,450.85.
Thank you, Lisa. Any recusals? Maisha?
By application dated March 6, 2024, Atlantic Cape Community College requested financial assistance in the form of a community development grant in the amount of $697,924 to fund Phase 3 of the AC Works Workforce Development Training Program for Atlantic City residents and employees of Atlantic City businesses. Due to the financial challenges of the authority, it is recommended to the board to reduce the training fee service line by 50% and approve a fund reservation in the amount of $308,622 and roll over $110,828.85 from AC Work 2 to fund a total reservation of $419,450.50 to fund AC Works 3. Atlantic Cape Community College will invest $195,000 from their institution to cover the rest of the expenses. During AC Works 2 workforce development programs, ACCC exceeded all levels of service goals of 275 participants trained with 80% employed. Through the proposed AC Works 3 grant, ACCC hopes to accomplish the goal of training 316 while maintaining an 80% employment rate. The Atlantic City Works 3 program will continue to focus on key elements of participation, recruitment, career services, participant training, and planning up and following. The requested funds will be used for all certified outreach support services and training.
Thank you. Board discussion, questions? Public comment? There being no public comment, I will entertain a motion to adopt. Have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
A second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes, carry it. All right, now Maisha can take a break.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, can I just
Yes.
make a remark? I know we spent over $1 million on grants.
Yeah.
And it's a good thing, and they're very good. And I know I said this before, are we monitoring, making sure that this is done correctly, that we're not hiring somebody's brother-in-law that's sitting on the beach?
Yes.
You do monitor this penny by penny?
Very.
Okay, that's the simple, that's,
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, because I get the phone calls. She's doing a good job. Yeah. All right, we're moving on to one of my favorite topics. The citywide streetlight maintenance and improvement project. Lisa, can you read the resolution?
Resolution of the Casino Reinvestment Development Authority authorizing the amendment of the intergovernmental agreement with the City of Atlantic City for the citywide streetlight maintenance and improvement project to extend the term for a period of 2 years through July 16, 2026, and approve engagement of the authority as needed architect to provide services in the public solicitation for an RFP in furtherance of the Pacific Avenue Street Lighting Initiative under the project.
Thank you, Lisa. Any recusals? All right, see, Tom, you have a fancy presentation. The floor is yours, my friend.
Good afternoon, Chairman, members of the board, and guests. For some time now, back in 2020, I believe, the CRDA has been funding through the city, through an intergovernmental agreement, replacement components for the streetlights within Atlantic City. Not just towards this, but the entire city, citywide. So we did get requested from the governor's office to take direct control over the situation about 1.5 years ago, and we did. And to date, the CRDA has allocated $3.98 million towards replacing the streetlights. I know that, I've worked on $16.5 million up to this point. We have just over $3 million left. County's been doing a great job of replacing streetlights that they go out. We've replaced the ones that were damaged or were missing, and we'll continue to do that until a negotiated agreement is set up between Atlantic City Electric and the city, with us at the table helping the situation. Currently, we have the $3 million. We've noticed that there is a shortage of foot candles along Pacific Avenue, the length of Pacific Avenue. So we've asked Sasha, one of our as-needed architects, to look into it. They had a lighting consultant scheduled underneath their contract, and Tom is here to give you his slight presentation. What we're looking for is the board to support amending the existing contract with the city, intergovernmental agreement, for an additional 2 years, so that we can basically bring the additional funds to bear to fix what we see as maybe an issue with Pacific Avenue, to take care of that and then fund the balance of that and hopefully support the city in its need, in its ability to transition from CRDA funding to a city payroll budget, and then in covering ACE to maintain it or some third party. So with that, I'll come out.
Chairman, can I ask a question before you start? Tom, what about the lights on Atlantic? We heard a lot of rhetoric about lighting earlier.
So, independent of what we did here, the city moved forward with that, and then we kind of did some catch-up because of the lights and whatnot. So the foot candles on Atlantic Avenue, and Tom's going to, I think, show you this. I think they're set, what did you say, 1.5 foot candles? Yeah. And we're averaging, what was it, 2.3 to 0.7
on Pacific
Avenue. So it's a big change between the new foot candles and what's existing along the length of Pacific Avenue.
Good afternoon, thank you for having us. My name is Tom Sykes, and I'm here with Javier Laura. We're an architectural and planning firm. Javier is a graduate from NJIT and then went back for a master's in city planning, and he's running this project for us. What we did, we worked with Halophane, who's the same company that did Atlantic Avenue, because they've been supplying the city with fixtures, and we did a complete analysis of Pacific Avenue. We advanced just right there. We did an analysis of Pacific Avenue, and that analysis shows the light levels that are way below average in any city. And then we did it for the whole stretch, but Tom mentioned they really want to look at a concentrated effort if there were some funds available to do one important area that would give an indication of how lighting should be. And so we went a little further, and we looked at an area that all of Pacific Avenue we could get into, but it's a big bite. What we looked at and what came back in our studies was really surprising, except that we've recently been retained by Atlantic to analyze how dark it was around the hospital. And we brought in the lighting consultant for that. And no coincidence, this Hall of Fame team that did all of Pacific Avenue found one of the darker places for a pedestrian in the city to be from Mississippi to Indiana Avenue. It sounds nuts. It's right in front of Caesars and everywhere else. But the readings are the readings, and the hospital was the darkest block. So what we did, we worked with them to get an analysis and recommendations, and just this strip here is what we'd like to present back to the board as an analysis. We have all the light fixtures. To correct this, the fixtures themselves are $100,000. It's the installation, the coordination with Atlantic Electric, and then other options that can come along the way. We actually counted, the team actually counted every fixture on Pacific Avenue, what type of fixture it is, the light it's putting out. And so we created, in a sense, a vision. And this vision may not be achievable right now, but we need a vision. And if somebody independently is doing work along Pacific Avenue, they could plug into that vision. So we created a vision, and what we'd like to do is simply price that out, bring it back, and see what that would be. And it's such an important part of the city, we thought that was a good place to start. Javier, anything?
So the intention for us would be, go ahead and put a package on the street, publicly bid it out, and come back to the board to make the approval.
Makes sense. Thank you. A question?
Tom, I may have missed this, I apologize. What's the interaction of this project with the city? Where's the city stand with this project?
So the city and us and ACE, we're all working together.
Okay.
I've got a meeting tomorrow, a full meeting with everybody. It's the intention of the city to support an outcome that's more cost effective in the long run, and that we don't have multiple lights out all over the place, honestly for clean, safe issues. So to that end, we are, I think, making some inroads there. We need to continue. But then at the end, it'll come down to, you've got a budget for it, and then you have to have someone that's actively participating in monitoring and replacing, and you still have to coordinate with the C-click fix so that everyone's calling in when something's out. Because we already did all the groundwork to get all the data points for every street, like in the city, mapped out. So we have the city-owned, we have ACES, and we have the privately owned. So we're in a good position to move it to closure.
Okay, thanks.
I don't speak much. I've known Tom pretty much all my life, and I've known Mr. Laura all his life. And I want everybody to see him and understand that if he comes before this board, he's a good man, he's credible, and great job.
Still has a side job as lifeguard in Atlantic City.
Well, because he's smart. It's time to go.
Thanks for that. Any additional questions?
I think it's a great project. You know, we talk about clean and safe, lighting is a critical component. I think, you know, especially starting at Pacific Avenue, which is really our Broadway, I think it makes a lot of sense.
I agree 1,000%.
So just one other thing. So when you drive down Pacific Avenue, you're leaving town, right? You're gonna wind up saying that there's, you know, block after block where you don't have any lights. They may be on the buildings, or they may be on the, traffic signals.
Yeah.
But there actually is physically a lack of lights. There's no pedestrian lights for the length of Pacific Avenue. So what this envisions probably is an inlay of additional street lights for the length of the block. So.
Public comment? There be no public comment? I will entertain a motion to adopt. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
A second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, that was an enthusiastic one right there. All right. All right, so the next item is the bond underwriting services. Lisa, can you read the resolution?
Resolution of the Casino Reinvestment Development Authority, engaging investment banking firms RBC as senior manager, and Ramirez and Company, Siebert Williams Shank and Company LLC, and Raymond James and Associates as co-managers to provide bond underwriting services in connection with the refunding of the 2014 luxury tax bonds.
Thank you. Any recusals? I knew. That's why I looked at you. That's why I looked your way, Mike Hanley. Kathy, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon, everyone. CRDA has an opportunity to refund our outstanding 2014 luxury tax revenue bonds. Approximately $194 million of the original issue can be refunded. Call date would be November 1st, 2024. Close can be 90 days prior, which will be around August 1st, 2024. We were targeting for a minimum savings to be at least 3%. I believe that's the state kind of average and requirement. But based on our analysis, we were finding that the savings we could realize for the present value of the savings was turning into about $1 million a year, which is well in excess of the 3%. We issued an RFP to obtain underwriting services in connection with the above refinancing, and have recommended that we engage RBC as the senior manager, along with Ramirez and Company, Siebert Williams Shank and Co., and Raymond James and Associates as co-managers for the refinancing. Both Ramirez and Siebert will provide some diversity in the underwriting services. The refunding may also include additional bond issuance of approximately $77 million, which will fund the ESIP program, and an additional, the $7 million is included in that. That will complete the roof restoration, repairs, and will also allow us to completely cover the roof with solar at that particular point. The $7 million was not initially covered in the ESIP, but we find we have the opportunity to kind of complete that project. Any questions?
Any questions? Public comment? There being no public comment, I will entertain a motion to adopt. The motion?
So move.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes, carried. Kathy, your stuff is so thorough, there are no questions. All right, so that concludes this portion, the business portion of this agenda. We are now gonna go into public comment. I knew you were all waiting patiently over there.
Good afternoon. My name is Carly Anoka. I'm an Atlantic City resident representing many other city residents who would like to see a 24-hour bike lane on the boardwalk. We are concerned about the current regulations and enforcement policies regarding bicycle usage on the boardwalk. Currently, bicycles are permitted from 6 a.m. to 12 p.m. during summer, while e-bikes and e-scooters are prohibited. Cyclists who ride outside this designated window face a $100 fine. We understand that this has been a law since 2007. However, we have seen a noticeable recent increase in enforcement by the ACPD since May. As residents, we deeply understand the importance of tourist and pedestrian safety, recognizing and agreeing that our beach and boardwalk are Atlantic City's most significant assets. However, we believe that the current regulations impose undue hardship, particularly on local residents who rely on bicycles for transportation, especially since there are no bike lanes in the street, and the bike path currently remains unfinished with apparent plans to cancel its extension. The current bike path extends only from Albany to Tennessee and ends abruptly at Tennessee, making it an unsuitable alternative to the boardwalk. Bicycles are crucial for commuting to work, school, and other essential activities, like supporting local boardwalk and city businesses that are difficult to access due to parking shortages in the summer. And rerouting tourist cyclists off the boardwalk who are unfamiliar with our streets and neighborhoods feels both unsafe and irresponsible. Our goal should be to ensure that everyone, tourists and residents alike, feels safe using the boardwalk. We must prioritize safety over revenue generation from fines, and therefore we propose the following solutions. You can implement a no-fee warning for first-time infractions to educate rather than penalize, allow bicycle riding on the boardwalk at all hours to accommodate the needs of our residents, create a 24-hour bike lane on the boardwalk, or designate the middle lane for both bicycles and tram cars. The middle lane is already defined from Ocean Casino to Boardwalk Hall for the boardwalk tram, and extending it to Albany Avenue would enhance safety and accessibility. Continue enforcement of e-bikes and e-scooters, which pose a great danger to pedestrians versus bicycles due to their higher speeds. First-time infractions should receive a no-fee warning. We support ACPD in ticketing those riding erratically or unsafely. Additionally, we propose creating slow zones, stopping points, and/or walking zones between Ocean and Tropicana, again with no-fee warnings for first-time infractions. By implementing these measures, we can make our boardwalk safer and more accessible for all, fostering a community where both tourists and residents can enjoy our city's greatest asset. Atlantic City needs to become a more bike-friendly city. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well done.
Yeah. But do we have jurisdiction over, I think it's the city that has jurisdiction over the board.
We're spreading the word everywhere.
Oh, that's really sure. All
So
right,
like,
all right.
yeah.
Well done, though.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's it. You were speaking as well?
We do just want to inform you though, because what we're hearing from ACPD is that it's the CRDA, the businesses on the boardwalk that are enforcing this, and we want to let you know that ACPD does not offer any other safe route. They say to ride the sidewalk, which is illegal, so they're just picking on what is to enforce and what is not. I personally was almost in an accident when the bike lane abruptly ended on Tennessee Avenue and then was almost jumped by 3 very aggressive addicts on Tennessee, which is an extremely hot spot for drug addicts. So ACPD should be enforcing the streets, not tripling efforts on the boardwalk. It's very irresponsible.
Yeah. Yeah, what's your name for the record, so we have it for the record?
Valerie Fio. I work for a production company established in 2007, and we help bring thousands of people to Atlantic City every weekend.
Yeah, thank you for.
And this will be my last city in AC if this remains.
All right, well, thank you for bringing this to our attention.
Thank you.
We'll look into it, especially with safety stuff. Any other public comment? All right, there being no additional public comment, we are now going to go into executive session. And there may be action taken in executive session. So when we come back, we may be taking action. Lisa, can you read the resolution?
Resolution of the Casino Reinvestment Development Authority authorizing an executive session pursuant to NJSA 10:4-12E7.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to enter executive session?
Motion.
For a second? All those in favor? Aye. All right.
The Casino Reinvestment Development Authority regarding an offer of Evolution Malta Limited LLC to purchase a portion of Block 389, Lot 1 for $1,500,000 and granting project approval of a proposed Evolution site development project.
Thank you, Lisa. Any recusals? Lance? You just want to, just one
The
sentence?
highlights, I guess?
Yeah.
You guys have heard this a couple times now, so. So this was a project that came to us from Evolution. They looked at several properties through the city that we owned, and we are looking at the project that is, that is across from Angelo's. Everybody knows it as Angelo, the parking lot across from there. Bass Pro shares part of that lot, and they're looking to now purchase it. It was a lease originally that we were talking about. Now it's looking at a purchase. They want to build basically a 125,000 square foot building on this site for online gaming. Go back to my thing just a little bit to get some of that stuff. Lease up to 500 parking spaces from our Wave Garage. It will be for production studios for live online gaming. As I said, a 125,000 square foot building on 2.2 acres of that site. They're negotiating. This would not be the end of things. We would have to do a subdivision and a redevelopment plan as part of this to effectuate the purchase. And there's, Phil's here to talk about the legal part of things.
I think we're good.
If need be.
I think we're good. Yeah, I think we're good. All right, any board discussion? Public comment? There being no public comment, I will entertain a motion to adopt. Do I have a motion? Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes carry it. I now accept a motion to adjourn this very long meeting. Do you have a motion? Second?
Mr. Chairman, second.
Meeting
Lloyd, that was your
adjourned.
best presentation ever.
Knock it out of the park.
Lloyd, the work you do was amazing, my friend.